After Tom Brady announced his retirement for the second time, I started to think, hey, does Mike Evans want to stay with the Bucs still now that Tom has retired and is out of there? Or could he be looking for a way out? Let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, do hit the big red subscribe button down below, people. I promise you, you will not regret it. All right, so let's talk about this, all right? So Tom Brady announced his retirement, the absolute GOAT, man. Wish you the best of luck. Tom, I don't think he's coming back this time. I know he came back out of retirement the first time, but yeah. Tom Brady announces his retirement, and all of a sudden, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like they have absolutely no quarterbacks. I mean, it is just flat out bad. I think it's Kyle Trask is the quarterback under contract for them. Like, no Jameis even, right? Like, so it's barren. And so the question begs is Mike Evans and or Chris Godwin, even to a lesser extent, do they want to stay in Tampa after Tom Brady announced his retirement and there's no quarterback? Then certainly that team is going to enter rebuild mode. And to me, I'm going to focus on Mike Evans over Chris Godwin because Chris Godwin just agreed to a contract extension. And so he is under contract for a number of seasons. Mike Evans, on the other hand, he is a free agent after this upcoming season. He's under contract for one more year. And so it's much more feasible to see that Evans could be on the move. So do I believe Mike Evans will want out? I do. I really do. Mike Evans is 29 years old. He's not exactly young in terms of NFL receiver years or even NFL player years. And so he's going to want to get the most out of wherever he plays for the remainder of his career. I still think he has multiple productive seasons left in him. So yes, I do think Mike Evans wants out. Number two, will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look to move on from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and the rest of their veterans? I think they'll look into it because, to me, the quarterback is the biggest position of need for this team now. And taking a look at who they can get out from, free agency or trade, unless you get Aaron Rodgers wanting to come to Tampa or you get a Derek Carr, unless you get a veteran option who's willing to come there, you're most likely going to have to settle on a rookie, drafting somebody, or, somebody who's not very good. And so if that is the case, maybe you go ahead and expedite the rebuild by trading away your veteran players, and that includes Mike Evans. So I think Tampa may be reluctant to it at first, but they think they will consider it. Okay? So that's question number two. Question number three, should the Bears look to trade for Mike Evans? And to me, I think the answer is yes, depending on the price here. Mike Evans, to me, is one of those receivers who fits the bill of a number one wideout, right? When we talk about the Bears needing a number one receiver, Mike Evans fits that bill. There's not a lot of guys that do, but Mike Evans fits that bill. I mentioned the same thing about DeAndre Hopkins. I know these guys are a little older. Totally get it. But hey, Devontae Adams is 30 years old, and he had a monster season. So, ideally, you would want somebody to come in here, fit the timeline for the Bears, but I got no issues with if the guy's a little bit older, but still mega productive. And that is the thing with Mike Evans. Consistency and productivity. Two things Mike Evans provides you. 1,000 yards every single season of his career. This is a guy who's a potential future Hall of Famer, and I still think he's got productive years left in him. And could you imagine him with Justin Fields? And so I do think the Bears should be interested and look to see what the price is to acquire Mike Evans. Now, the Bears can get their number one receiver through the draft. They can do that. And we've seen, the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons of the world come out and light up the NFL world on fire, and you can get a number one receiver through the draft. But if the price for Mike Evans isn't that high and you're able to acquire him while not giving up much, why not? Look at it. So to me, the only thing that I worry about with drafting a wide receiver to fill up that wide receiver one spot versus trading for an established weapon is the fact that the instances we've seen of quarterbacks who have gotten that number one receiver, those guys were established before they got there. Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen. Tyreek Hill with Tua Tagovailoa. There's other options, Devontae Adams with Derek Carr. Like, again, for those younger quarterbacks who had that number one weapon, that guy was already an established number one weapon before he got there. And so that's the thing with Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a guy who can go deep. He can line up. He doesn't line up in the slot much, as that's more Chris Godwin, but he can kind of do it all. He's kind of do it all. He's a jump ball receiver. Justin Fields with the deep ball passes, Mike Evans would be perfect for those. So, yeah, I think the Bears should look to see what it would take to get Mike Evans, because I think right now Mike Evans doesn't want to stay in Tampa. Who would want to? In a rebuilding situation with Kyle Trask at quarterback, no thank you. So I'm not saying overpay, but make the phone call, see what it would cost you, and then if it's not too much, look to acquire him, because free agency, not going to get it done. So you either have trade or the draft. And with the draft, I told you, might take the guys a couple of seasons, but you can have a guy that can come in and do what Diggs and Tyreek did for their quarterbacks to Justin Fields. Justin Fields can make another leap if he gets his number one option. So, just saying. Let me know what you guys think. Mike Evans to the Chicago Bears. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below as always.